Hey there, you just clicked on First Down Punts. Nice move. This is a podcast about football and how it relates to fantasy football. Hope you like what you hear. We're going to get this thing started. Let's get crazy. And welcome in, everyone, to another episode of First Down Punts. I'm your host, Coach Chris. Today, we're going to be going over a Thursday night review as well as the Week 9 starts and sits for all the games that are left this week. 4 teams on a bye this week: the Browns, the Jets, the Eagles, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So some pieces missing off your fantasy teams. Definitely going to make an impact. We're going to try and get you some guys to start in those spots. Go over some NFL news, and we'll get into the review and then the starts and sits for Week 9. Travis Hunter, wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, has been placed on IR. He suffered a non-contact knee injury in practice. I'm waiting for some more reports if he's going to be out for the rest of the season or just maybe like a 6-week thing. But definitely something that's going to affect their team and fantasy teams. Joe Flacco, he was 50-50 as of Wednesday. He is now likely to play. Sounds like he's going to. Might be trying to run it a little bit more, but all the same, I definitely think he's going to be out there tomorrow now, based off his comments and the way everything's going in practice. Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett's starting again. Murray may be active and in uniform as a backup, emergency backup. I'm not sure which one they put him as, but Brissett is getting the start. He was the one practicing with the starters on Friday as well. Jair Alexander, the cornerback that used to play for the Packers, signed with the Ravens as a free agent, has been traded from the Ravens to the Eagles. So moves continuing to be made. I'm expecting a lot more on Monday and Tuesday morning once this week's games are over. Ramondre Stevenson is out. So TREVEYON Henderson, this is the time, man. I hope the Patriots actually let him handle the bulk of the touches and we see what he's capable of. If not, it's going to be cut city everywhere for TREVEYON Henderson if some people haven't already cut him. But if he doesn't get the playing time now, then I don't know if he ever will. Tyler Shuck, we mentioned this the other day for the Saints. Tyler Shuck, the rookie, is taken over for the New Orleans Saints. Came in last week in place of Spencer Rattler there, and he is going to start this week and be the starter going forward. So I'm guessing it's going to affect those fantasy players a little bit. I think it'll affect more of the Shaheeds than it will so much Olave. Olave is still a damn good receiver. He's going to be a main option in that offense. Shaheed, we'll get into starting sits in there, but I'm not sure if you want to play him this week. And then Michael Penix is back after missing a week with a bone bruise. He's expected to start tomorrow. And Cousins goes back to the bench. He's also mentioned he would like to be traded, opportunity to play, but he's been wanting that since they benched him last year, and that hasn't happened yet. And then Kirby Joseph, safety for the Lions, is out again. It does sound like they'll have Terrion Arnold back, and Brian Branch is back from his one-game suspension, so definitely helping out that defense tomorrow. As far as the Ravens and Dolphins review goes, not much. Basically what I expected. The Ravens are better than the Dolphins, and that's how it looked. Lamar throws 4 touchdowns, 3 to tight ends, 2 to Mark Andrews, and 1 to Rashad Bateman. And then Derrick Henry, needless to say, my sneaky start was Keaton Mitchell for this week. I expected him to be up in the fourth quarter. I expected when they're up 22 with 7 minutes left and Miami showing no capability of scoring a touchdown or even making field goals half the time, that they would take the starters out and Keaton Mitchell would come in and get some clock. That didn't happen. They left Derrick Henry and they're up 22 to make sure he got 100 yards. Ends up with 119. Good day for fantasy, no touchdown, but all the same, you still get 119 yards. On the other side, Miami Tua throws for 261, 0 touchdowns and an interception. Devon Achane had 106 total yards. He's the only startable player for them. I guess Waddle too, but the report that I forgot to mention this, the report came out today that Miami is willing to listen to trade offers for Jalen Waddle, which is gone against what they've done up to this point where they've stated that they're not trading him. But they also said it's going to take a lot to get him. So who knows what that is? Maybe a second and a fifth or something. Maybe a first. I don't know if they want a first or not. He was the 6th overall pick. So, and he's a hell of a talent, man. I'm a big Jalen Waddle fan. If he gets traded, hell, Lions, go get him. Trade Jameson and a pick for him. I don't care. Go get Jalen Waddle. And then the other interesting thing for the Miami offense was Greg Dulcich, the former Broncos and what was it, the Jets, I think, tight end. Maybe the Giants. The Giants. He was with the Giants is who it was. He had 5 for 49 in place of, obviously, Darren Waller was out, but so was Julian Hill, the other tight end that was labeled a starter. Dulcich didn't start the game, but he was the most productive tight end. That may be something interesting to go looking at going forward. As far as these Sunday games go, the Lions 6-2 take on the Vikings 3-4. Starts for this game: Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jake Bates, the kicker, and Jared Goff. I'm willing to start all of those players. I know Minnesota's got a decent defense, but I just think Detroit's a better team. Coming off a bye, they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. It's a opponent that they know well, and J.J. McCarthy starting, which I'm not a big supporter of, so maybe that defense gets a couple turnovers, and they get even more opportunities. On the Viking side, Jefferson and Will Reichard, the kicker. Those are the only two players that I'm confident in starting. Some of these other guys are flex players, including Aaron Jones, the running back. Neither one of the running backs were productive. The Vikings offense was a shambles last Thursday. Now, they've had 10 games to prepare for this, or 10 days to prepare for this as well. I still think the Lions are a better team. It shows on their record and showing on the field. But Aaron Jones, I'm willing to flex him. He did start last week, his first game back, and I imagine that he's going to be the more prominent player in this offense going forward, at least for now. Jordan Addison, I think he'll have some opportunities, and TJ Hawkinson as well. I think they'll have some opportunities, mainly because I think the Vikings are going to get beat in this game. And then on the Detroit side, the Detroit defense, I'd flex them against J.J. McCarthy this week. And the way the run offense played last week, Detroit's run defense is excellent and could slow these guys down again. And then David Montgomery, I'm willing to start him because if we are I think they want to. I think Campbell more than anybody wants to get Montgomery back involved a little more, which could hurt Jahmyr Gibbs on one side, but they need to do something more than just run and dive plays with him, because that's what it looked like last week, last couple games, or last week, but 2 weeks ago. And the last couple games, honestly. I know he had a big game in Cincy. He's from Cincy. His sister was there, all that good stuff. But the 2 games wrapped around that, he hasn't been effective at all. Low yards per carry. I think they want to get him going a little bit. And if they get up on the Vikings, I got a feeling that he's going to be more involved than even Gibbs will be in the second half. And then sits for this game, Minnesota's defense, Jordan Mason and Jameson Williams. I know the OC Morton came out and said, I failed Jameson Williams, which makes a lot of people think, hey, they're going to force the ball to Jameson Williams. But that's not what the Lions do. They're going to continue to play their game. And I honestly think, if you see here my sneaky start, Isaac Tesla is going to be the guy that starts benefiting going forward. They're big believers in him. He's only had a handful of catches through the first 7 weeks. And I think that this might be the changeover. Jameson's still going to be out there. I don't think it's over for Jameson. And he can always catch a bomb touchdown, no doubt about that. But I think Tesla is going to start getting more involved as that number 2 receiver. And I think that's more about Jameson hasn't been doing his thing. He's drawing the defense away. The capabilities of that speed are – I'm not here to talk bad about him, but they paid him a lot of money, and he ain't done a lot since. So my sneaky start is Isaac Tesla because I think he's going to start getting more involved. Next game, Falcons versus the Patriots. 3-4 to the Falcons. Patriots are 6-2 to my surprise, not to some other people. Some people had them having a good year. The Falcons are 3-4, and as I said, they're ridiculous out here with their inconsistencies. My starts for this game: Drake May, TREVEYON Henderson. Like I said, if this ain't the game, there won't be any. And I know the Falcons got a good defense. They're even better at the pass than they are at the run, but I believe that TREVEYON Henderson is capable of being a receiving and rushing back. I believe he's a 3-down back, and if given the opportunity, everybody's biggest fear is the Terrell Jennings kid who they promoted last couple of weeks and had a handful of carries a couple of weeks ago. That he's going to run that Ramondre role. I think this is going to be a TREVEYON Henderson game, and it's going to be what everyone's been waiting for 8 weeks. So. On the other side, Bijan Robinson, you're always starting, and Drake London. I don't care about what happened last week. I'm still starting Bijan Robinson and Drake London every week. Flex players for this game: Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, New England defense. I think you should be starting New England defense, but I'm not expecting them to have a huge day. I think that Atlanta's offense is still dangerous and can put up points even on this New England defense if they're in rhythm. And then Michael Penix, I'm willing to flex him as a number 2 quarterback. Kyle Pitts, yes. Parker Romo, the kicker there in Atlanta, and Atlanta's defense. I think Atlanta's defense is tough, man. I think that when they're on their game and the offense is helping, they are very capable of slowing down any offense. I think against this Patriots offense, missing Ramondre, not really having a true number one receiver yet, Atlanta could definitely be dangerous. And if that's the case, you might want to put them in there, even if it's not the best matchup. Sits for this game, Darnell Mooney just hasn't been the player we wanted him to be this year. I was wrong about him. A lot of people were wrong about him. They had him as a great late round pick. He between injuries and not being productive, Darnell Mooney's not a guy I can recommend starting. I'm sure he'll go for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns this week because I say that. But and Tyler Algier, I think that he'll be involved, but just not enough to be fantasy worthy against that New England. New England's got a good run defense as well. And then Kayshon Boutte, I know he had the game last week. Terrell Jennings, the running back, like I talked about, not interested. And then the kicker, Borregales, I don't care how many field goals he makes. He's not a guy I'm willing to start. He just missed too many for me, personally. Sneaky start for this game, Mario Douglas. I think if there is going to be anybody that pops off for the receiving game, it'll be that third receiver. And it might be Hunter Henry instead of Douglas, but I like Douglas as a sneaky start simply because Atlanta's corners are good. Atlanta safeties are good. And if somebody's going to – Diggs and Boutte just aren't – those players that you want them – aren't true number ones. And so against those corners there in Atlanta, I don't think they're going to be able to get open and get as many opportunities. I think it'll be more about that third and fourth receiver with Hunter Henry or Henderson out of the backfield and Demario Douglas. So if there's a receiver I'm starting, it'll probably be Demario Douglas. Chargers versus the Titans. Chargers are 5-3, Titans 1-7. I've had these pretty close to what I predicted them, so that makes me feel a little bit better. Starts for this game, Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey, Kamani Vidal. I am starting him. The Titans not playing well. Simmons missed last week's game. I haven't seen if he's missing this week or not. But Rondé Gadsden, I think they're going to use him some more, and it's going to continue to be to the detriment of some of their other players. Cameron Dicker, the kicker, and the Chargers defense. I'm willing to start all those Chargers players. I'm not starting any Titans players unless I have to in a flex. That's where this comes in. But Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson, I think you can still start them as flex players. I know Quentin Johnson got the goose egg last game, but I don't think that's going to continue, and they may make it a point to get him the ball. And against this Titans defense, it'll be pretty damn easy. On the Titans side, Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard, I think you can flex both of them, although it seems like Spears is kind of taken over, so be wary of Tony Pollard. And then Chimere Dickey. But I expect the Chargers to score. That gives him more return opportunities. So if your league gets return opportunity or return yardage, it's even better. But if not, he was the most involved receiver and productive receiver last week. And I think that's going to continue to be the case. I still think A.O. Maynard is going to be involved. My big fear is if Ridley comes back, what does that do? But I don't know if Ridley's playing this week, and I still think he could get traded. Sits for this game, Cam Ward, Chikakonkwo, Joey Slye, the kicker there. I just don't think he's going to have enough opportunities. And then my sneaky start for this game is Gunnar Helm. He's starting to get more and more opportunities. I talked about him last week. I've talked about it a few weeks earlier in the season. I think Gunnar Helm is going to start to over. That's why Okonkwo's a sit, because Gunnar Helm continues to take snaps away, and he's been the more productive tight end. He's playing more of a big slot receiver, but he's getting the opportunities, and I like what I'm seeing out of him. So, next game, Bears versus the Bengals. Bears are 4-3. Bengals are 3-5, surprisingly. Joe Flacco came in there and got it turned around. Now he's 1-1, but all the same, they get that next win and give him a little more hope about staying in contention. Starts for this game with the news that DeAndre Swift is out. Kyle Monangai is definitely a start in this game against that Bengals defense. He should dominate the touches. Roshan Johnson is out, but Travis Homer, and then I forget the other kid's name right now. I want to say he's a second-year player, but I'm not expecting a lot out of him. Rome Odunze, though, definitely starting him. Like I said, he's a trade candidate for me. Cairo Santos, the kicker there for Chicago. He's a good kicker, man. That's all there is to it. And then Caleb Williams, I'm willing to start this game. I think they could get up early, and he could have a good day. On the Bengals side, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown, willing to start all three of them if Flacco is playing. If Flacco is not playing, Higgins and Brown become flex or sits, and Chase is the only starter. Flex, though, Joe Flacco, I'm not terrified of the Bears' defense. I know they've had some turnovers, but Flacco's been playing well, and those weapons are always valuable. Noah Fant, the tight end there, I think he could actually benefit from their attention drawn to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins this week. Evan McPherson, the kicker, he's getting more opportunities. Not the offense is moving better. On the Bears side, flex players, DJ Moore and Colston Loveland. Komet might be back this week. I'm still waiting for a guaranteed. I didn't see anything yet before I started recording this, but I'm still willing to start Colston Loveland as a flex player if you need it. Sits for this game, Luther Burden and the Chicago defense. If Flacco plays, I don't want to start that Bears defense. I'm not starting Cincy's defense or some RGP, Ryan, even coming off the good game last week. I think this will be a more competitive game, and I think Chase Brown will be on the field way more, and there might not be as many opportunities for P. Ryan to have. My sneaky start for this game, Travis Homer. Because if it's not all Kyle MONANGAI, Travis Homer could be the guy involved. The Bears have had him on their team for, 3-4 years now. He always gets involved eventually once everybody else gets banged up. It's just another one of those situations. Travis Homer can come out and have 40 yards and a touchdown as the backup to MONANGAI and make you happy. And maybe he gets a couple catches to go along with it. So, next game, Colts versus the Steelers. Colts 7-1. Hey, listen, Colts fans, I apologize. I just want to say that again. I did not expect this. That's all there is to it. The Steelers, on the other hand, are 4-3. I expect them to be competitive with Rodgers as the quarterback. But coming into this game, Colts are obviously the favorite team. Steelers they got to pull one out here. I mean, that's just the gist of it. They got to play tough defense, and that defense hasn't been holding up. Starts with this game, Jonathan Taylor. He's having a career year. We talked about it already in our other video. Michael Pittman, trade candidate, starting him. Not really scared of the Pittsburgh's corners. Tyler Warren, definitely starting him. This should be a good game for him to bounce back. Daniel Jones, the way he's been playing, you have to. And Michael Badgley, the kicker there, replacing Spencer Schrader. He's been fine for the last few weeks. You can start him, no problem. On the other side, Jaylen Warren, DK Metcalf, and Chris Boswell are all starts. Flex players, Aaron Rodgers is a number 2 QB. Indy's defense, I do expect Pittsburgh to be able to put up 18, 20 points and probably won't turn it over. So the Colts defense is kind of hard to say I'm expecting a lot of. But they might get a couple sacks, and who knows if they can get a turnover or not. If they do, it just makes it that much better. And then Alec Pierce. I think you could get a downfield play here or two from Alec Pierce, possibly a long touchdown, and put him on the board for the Colts there. Sits for this game, Kenny Gainwell. Just don't think they're going to be able to use him enough if they're down. Calvin Austin III, he's been kind of fighting with snaps with other players since back from injury. And then Pittsburgh's defense, like I said, they are not the Pittsburgh's defense of old. I'm not willing to start him in this game against a top offense. Adonai Mitchell, no thanks. Josh Downs, I just don't think he's going to be involved as much this game. My sneaky start for this game, Roman Wilson. If the Steelers are able to pull this off, it's going to be because the Colts, their pass defense is lacking. And if the attention's being going to Metcalf, then Roman Wilson could be a sneaky start here to get you a touchdown and possibly 30, 40 yards with it, 3-4 catches or whatever. But just a guy to consider in a deep league. You might want to throw him in, pick him up off the waivers, see if you can get a sneaky start for one of those guys on bye. Next game, 49ers versus the Giants. 49ers are 5-3, even with all their injuries, and the Giants are 2-6. Dart started 5 games now, I believe it is, and definitely made a difference for this team. Unfortunately, they lost Cam Scatterboo to IR with that terrible ankle injury, and they're going to be putting Tyrone Tracy back in the starting spot. So starts for this game, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings. Sounds like he's way healthier than he was a handful of weeks ago. And Mac Jones is starting again, but Jennings is the best receiver they got right now and could definitely get deep against this Giants defense a couple of times. Jackson Dart, though, on the other side, and Tyrone Tracy, we talked about in our staple bag video. Jackson Dart is hitting some numbers. If he can get that passing number up a little bit more, he's in the category for a staple back, and that's what you want out of a quarterback, especially as a rookie. It's his touchdown, I think it was like 2.4 per game. You love it. So you got to keep him starting him if that's the case. And then Tyrone Tracy is back to being the number 1. I still think Singletary is going to be involved, but Tyrone Tracy is a talented back, and they need him right now with all the injuries they've been dealt. Flex players for this game, Mac Jones against that Giants defense. He hasn't played great the last couple games, but still, it's the Giants defense. If they can protect him, he can get the ball off. And like I said, with Jennings getting healthier, Kittle being back, McCaffrey's still there, Mac Jones has plenty of options at all 3 levels to be able to attack that Giants defense. San Francisco's defense, though, I think they might be able to slow down the Giants offense, especially without Cam Scatterboo. And then Eddie Pinheiro, the kicker there in San Fran, willing to start him. On the other side, Darius Slayton and Theo Johnson, the receiving options there for the New York. Bellinger had an eye injury last week. Don't think he's playing this week. So Theo Johnson is a definite, I would say, almost put him in the starter category. But San Fran's defense got good linebackers, even without Fred Warner. They can kind of slow down that tight end position if that's who's guarding them. But Theo Johnson, like I said, he's had 4 touchdowns and Dart's 5 starts. So he's a guy to be playing, especially with Bellinger out. Sits for this game, Devin Singletary, Wan'Dale Robinson. I just don't think this is going to be a Wan'Dale Robinson game. I feel like they're good close to the line of scrimmage, and that's where Wan'Dale makes his money. So the Giants defense, no thanks. I think that the Niners are going to win this game. And then on the Niners side, Demarcus Robinson and Brian Robinson. Although Brian Robinson is an interesting flex player if the Niners were to get up, I just don't think they're going to be up so much that they're bringing in all the backups. And then my sneaky start for this game, Kendrick Bourne. I know he's kind of fell out of favor after last week's performance, but I think this could be a game where he gets involved as well with Jennings. It might just be a game where they try to attack them deep and get that pass rush to slow down a little bit. So Broncos versus the Texans, 6-2 versus 3-4. The Texans are a better team than their record, but hey, you are what your record says you are. You know what I mean? Broncos, on the other hand, lost Pat Surtain last week. He will be out at least for 3 weeks. It sounds like, possibly more, but they're not putting him on IR yet with the hope that he's back sooner. Starts for this game, Nico Collins. Obviously, if he ain't going to deal with Pat Surtain, I like Moss. He ain't the same caliber as Surtain there. CJ Stroud, I'm willing to start him now. Kyer Fairbairn, the kicker there in Houston, as always. J.K. Dobbins and Bo Nix for the Broncos, willing to start both of them. I know Harvey had the 3-touchdown game last week, but Dobbins was still heavily involved and is still a damn good running back, and I think he's still the starter going into this week. Bo Nix, I just think he's a staple back guy, that type of player when he gets that rushing going, and if he can get passing, it's going to help even more. Flex for this game, Jalen Noel. I think he's going to be the guy that continues to benefit. I know Higgins got the touchdown last week, but I think Noel is going to be that guy in that slot, and Christian Kirk's going to be kind of subbing in and out. But I think Noel's going to be that guy. Dalton Schultz, he's a flex guy if you need a tight end. I'm not big on him this week with Kirk being back, with Collins being back, but I still think he's a guy that might get a touchdown in this game just because of the defense focusing on these other receiving options. And then Woody Marks, he's a flex player this week. He had over 100 yards last week and 100 total yards, not rushing, but total yards between rushing and receiving. Didn't get the touchdown, but Chubb's still involved. I just feel like Marks is slowly taking over. I still think Chubb's going to be involved all season. I just like Marks' athletic capability and his receiving game that go along with his rushing capabilities way more than I like Nick Chubb. And then Houston's defense. I think they might be able to get after Nick's a little bit without any definitive player that they have to guard. I mean, Sutton's good, but they got corners that can. They got what's his name, Stingley there that can cover Sutton. So they're not going to have to waste a lot of time. They can probably play a lot of man this week and focus on slowing down the run game and the defense, and getting to the quarterback there. And on the Denver side, on Denver side, Cortland Sutton. I'm still willing to put him in a flex spot, just not counting on him as a number 2, like I said, with Stingley on him. Troy Franklin, he'll probably be the guy that actually benefits if somebody does go off in the receiving game, just because of the attention paid to Sutton and Stingley being on him most of the game. R.J. Harvey, you got to flex him after a 3-touchdown game. Not expecting a huge game this week, but how do you bench a guy that just had 3 touchdowns? That's just all there's to it. You can put him in a flex. I'm not saying you have to start him. I'm just saying I'm willing to throw him in a flex this week to see if it continues. Denver's defense, they're going to be hurt without Surtain, but they're still a damn good defense. But they're playing a good offense when it's clicking. Will Lutz, the kicker there for Denver. That's fine. You can start him. Sits for this game. All the Denver tight ends. They're talking about signing. They just signed Mercedes Lewis, who's going to be active. Mercedes Lewis is, I think, 41. He's in his 40s. I know that much. He hasn't been relevant in about 6 years. So, but they signed him and he's active. I don't know what's going on there. They got 9 tight ends. Peyton can't make up his mind. This goes back to these hockey lineups I keep talking about with what he's doing there, and it's driving you nuts. But Marvin Mims being out, possibly out with a concussion. I believe he was ruled out. It might not be definitive. Yeah, no, he would have been ruled out by now. So, yeah, Mims is out. You don't want to – so Troy Franklin just becomes that much more valuable. But like I said, R.J. Harvey, Denver's defense, Will Lutz, willing to start all them. Sits, though, Denver's tight ends, not playing them. And Pat Bryant, I know he got the touchdown last week. And with Mims out, it becomes a little more interesting. But the Broncos got a good defense, or the Texans got a good defense too. And I don't think they're going to be giving up touchdowns to the rookie wide receiver in this game. Jaden Higgins on the other side, Nick Chubb and Christian Kirk. Chubb doesn't have receiving capabilities, and Higgins with Nico back, he's not going to be needed as much. Christian Kirk, like I said, I think Noel's taking over that. Kirk's been out the lineup twice already. I think Houston wants to get the rookie going. Sneaky start for this game, Xavier Hutchinson. It'll be one of these secondary guys that pops off. He's been involved. He's had, 3 touchdowns in the last few games. He's just a guy that pops off, and when they need a secondary option to do it, Hutchinson's been that guy for a touchdown. So you can always sneak him in the flex spot. Next game, Panthers versus the Packers. 4-4 versus 5-1-1 because of that tie with Dallas. Stupid ass ties. Starts for this game, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft. Jacobs I don't know what's going on with him altogether. He had a sickness. He's got an injury. But I think he'll be back this week being his normal self. Tucker Kraft, obviously, coming off his last game. You want to put him in there. Rico Dowdle, Ted McMillan on the other side. The coach came out and basically said Rico Dowdle's a starter. He's going to get the majority of the carries. That puts Chuba Hubbard on another list in this because before they were both flexes. That's why I said that last week. I wasn't sure which one they were going to start, and because of that, you wanted to just put them both as a flex option and not as a starter. Willing to start Rico Dowdle this week, not willing to start Chuba Hubbard, as you can see here. Christian Watson in the flex, Romeo Doubs in the flex, Brendan McManus, if you need him. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been his normal self. He's older, dealt with an injury this year already. I'm not big on McManus anymore as I was. I drafted a guy in my home league because we still use kickers and shit. So I was like, let me get a piece of that Packers offense. And then obviously what happened. I'm not big on him anymore. Green Bay defense, though, I think you can still start them. With Green Bay's defense, the way that they've been playing, you're hoping they can take advantage of this Panthers offense. Bryce Young is back for this game. Andy Dalton goes back to the bench. But I think they can take advantage of Bryce Young, especially with that pass rush. And then Fitzpatrick, the kicker for the Panthers, he's been playing great since those first couple of weeks where he had a couple misses. So get him in your lineup if you need a kicker, man. Sits for this game, Bryce Young, Chuba Hubbard, Jalen Coker on the Panthers side, as well as that defense. And then Matthew Golden on the Packers side, not willing to start him. Sneaky start, Emmanuel Wilson. If Jacobs is still being held back a little bit, Wilson's going to be involved throughout the game. And if the Packers get up big on the Panthers, then Wilson's going to be involved a lot at the end of the game. And he's proven that he's capable when given the opportunity. Wilson might be your guy in this game. Our 4 p.m. games, our first one, Jacksonville versus the Raiders. Jags are 4-3. Raiders are 2-5. They're getting Bowers back. Jacoby Myers back after the bye. So they both had 2 weeks to prepare. Starts for this game, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers. If Bowers is in, he's in my lineup. That's all there is to it. And then Travis Etienne and Brian Thomas Jr., who is healthy. He's off the injury report. And with the loss of Travis Hunter going on IR, if not now, man, when? That's how I feel about it with Brian Thomas Jr. It just tells me how terrible Lawrence is if he can't get Brian Thomas Jr. the ball at this point. Flex for this game, Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville defense, and Cam Little. The Jags defense has been good this year. They struggled a little bit the last couple weeks, and I think that's partially because Hunter wasn't playing on defense, because he does help that defense, even if he's not playing full-time. He had been playing mostly offense the last couple weeks. Now they're missing him completely. I still think Jags got a good defense. I think they'll be fine against the Raiders. I'm just not expecting a huge day from them. And then on the other side, Jacoby Myers, with him back, he's in your flex spots. And Dan Carlson, the kicker, he hasn't been great this year. I've always been a Dan Carlson fan, so I would, if I needed a kicker and I was desperate, Dan Carlson would be that guy. Not looking to put him in my lineup, but willing to if I need to. Oh, my fucking God. Yeah, we get it, dude. Jesus. Sits for this game, Geno Smith. Las Vegas Raiders defense, Trey Tucker, Jack Beck, Tyler Lockett, because the Raiders signed Lockett this week. I don't know if he's going to be active this week, though. I don't believe he is, but he may be, and if he is, it just makes this Trey Tucker and Jack Beck sit, more importantly. But Jacoby Myers being back is what kind of takes these other guys off the board for me. And Michael Mayer is a sit, obviously, with Bowers back. Mayer's still going to be involved, but Bowers is the guy you want. On the other side, Diami Brown, I know with Hunter being out, some people are like, ooh, is Brown going to get involved with that speed? I don't think he is this week. Bayshaw Tootin, don't think he's getting involved this week. And Travis Hunter, obviously on IR. I just wanted to put it in here so I reminded myself. My sneaky start for this game, though, was Parker Washington. He was a waiver ad on Tuesday's video. Parker Washington has been involved already this year, even when everybody was there. He's been there when people were missing, when Diami Brown was missing games earlier this season. Parker Washington is probably the guy you want. And if somebody's going to pop off in this game for Jacksonville, there's a good chance Parker Washington is that guy. So we'll see what happens, but I think he's definitely a guy you can put in your flex and not ask any more questions. Next game, Saints versus the Rams. The Saints have made the change to Tyler Shuck, like we talked about. They're 1-7 versus the Rams, 5-2. So there was really no point not to, other than, good Lord, he gets to play the Rams the first game as a starter. That's tough. Starts with this game, basically all the Rams. Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, who's back from injury. Devontae Adams, Matt Stafford, and the Rams defense. On the other side, Chris Olave is the only guy I'm trusting from that Saints offense right now. Flex players, Alvin Kamara, Juwan Johnson. I think they'll both be involved this week enough. I think Shuck will probably get Kamara a little more involved in the pass game as well. Rattler's a little more mobile, so he didn't necessarily need to throw it to Kamara when he could just take off himself. Shuck's more of a, I got to get out of here. I'll scramble a little bit, but I'm not looking to run. So there's a good chance that Kamara actually starts getting more catches this week. And then Josh Carty, the kicker for the Rams, you can always start him. Sits for this game, Ben Grupe, mainly because I don't know how well Shuck's going to do this first game against the Rams. I like Shuck, but it's the Rams defense, and they're a hell of a team. The Saints, they were 1-7. It's not like they were doing great before Shuck came in. Shuck's a sit. Rashid Shaheed, he's the secondary option there. And if they're not successful as a team, now he's been getting, super targeted. He's also been in trade rumors. They may be trying to put him on display for someone to get a little more offer from, get a bigger offer for him. But right now, I'm not willing to start him simply because they might hold him back because they got a deal in place overnight tonight or tomorrow at some point. It's like, hey, we're not playing Shaheed. This is a 4 p.m. game. There's a lot of time between early morning and 4 p.m. that something could have been struck a deal and he gets ruled inactive because he's actually being traded and he doesn't even play. Blake Corum, though, I think he gets some opportunities in this game. Maybe he steals another touchdown from Kyron Williams, but I'm just not willing to count on that. And Tyler Higbee, all the tight ends have kind of been involved all season. Higbee had one good game basically all year. Ferguson's had a game. There's guys that you just can't trust the tight ends there. Sneaky start for this game, though, Taysom Hill. I think they could possibly bring Taysom Hill in those goal line packages, try to get a touchdown if they get down there, being that he's still a super mobile player. And they use him run, whether it's a wildcat or whether it's him throwing the ball or catching a pass, whatever it is. Taysom Hill, this might be a game where they try to use him a little bit more because of Shuck's lack of rushing. And if that's the case, then he's a guy you can stick it into a tight end slot or a flex spot and try to get a damn touchdown out of this guy, maybe two. He always has a pop-off game. This might be it. Last game of the 4 p.m. games, a big game, Chiefs versus the Bills, 5-3 versus 5-2. Chiefs have won 5 straight. Josh Allen, the Bills lost Ed Oliver last week, too, at defensive tackle there, although they did get their other 2 defensive tackles back from suspension. What was it? I forget how to say old boy's name from the Steelers. And then, Michael Hoyt guy. It's like Ojibani or something like that. I forget what the Steelers guy was that they signed as a free agent. But all the same, it helps to kind of soften the blow of losing Ed Oliver, but neither one of them are Ed Oliver. So could be interesting for this run game, especially with Pacheco being out for the Chiefs. He's going to be out possibly a couple weeks. We'll see what happens going forward. But right now he is out for this game, which means Kareem Hunt's more valuable. Starts for this game, Josh Allen, James Cook, Michael Prater. James Cook's been on a tear. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. On the other side, Pat Mahomes, Rasheed Rice, Harrison Butker. Basically the main options for each team right now. Rice has been that option. Could have had a 3-touchdown game a couple weeks ago. It's just like they've been force-feeding him the ball. That's all there is to it. Flex players, KC defense, I think you're fine if you got to start them. I'm trying not to if I got a better option, a better matchup game somewhere. But I'm not like, I'm dropping them either. You know what I mean? They're still a good defense. And I'll play the game of I might get a lower week, but I don't want to lose them. Travis Kelce, I told you guys before, I think with Rice and Worthy there, this actually opens things up for Kelce. He used to be the focal point and still beat it. Now he can't beat that double team, but he can still win one-on-one quite often. And as long as he catches the ball and doesn't let it go into the defender's hands, he should be fine. Xavier Worthy, against his Bills defense, he could definitely be involved on some end arounds and a couple deep balls that pay off because they're going to have to score some points against this Bills team. I believe this is going to be a higher scoring game. I think the over-under is like 54 or something like that. So definitely worthy of start getting Worthy in your lineup. And then Kareem Hunt, obviously he's the main go-to guy right now. Brashard Smith is interesting, but Kareem Hunt is definitely the guy that you want. He had 2 touchdowns last week. Apparently, the hurt ankle didn't hurt anymore. He's fine. And with Pacheco out, he becomes that de facto starter there. And we'll see what happens going forward with Brashard Smith. But right now, Kareem Hunt's the guy you definitely want to be getting in your lineup somewhere, whether it's a flex or even maybe a number 2 if you got one of the running backs that's out on a bye. And then Khalil Shakir, always involved. Dalton Kincaid, been a revelation this year for him compared to last year with all the injuries and everything else. He did miss a game this year already, but Kincaid has been involved. He's been productive. He's a guy you can still keep starting. Sits for this game, Hollywood Brown. I told you last week, I think he's done now that Rice and Worthy are there. Pacheco out for this game. On the other side, Keon Coleman just ain't getting it done. Elijah Moore, not involved enough. Buffalo's defense, I don't want to start him against Casey's offense the way they're playing right now. If you have to, you have to. One of those, I don't want to lose them. I don't want to drop them and have somebody else get them. But at the same time, losing Ed Oliver is going to hurt. And against this KC offense, the way they're playing, I just don't want to stick them out there. Sunday night football game, the Seahawks versus the Commanders. Seahawks are 5-2. Commanders are 3-5. Jaden Daniels missed 3 games already. Mariota went 1-2 in those games. Just not getting it done. Terry McLaurin re-injured his quad in his first game back last week, so he's out again. We're going to see what happens with the Commanders going forward, but right now they need to put some points on the board. Against Seahawks, they might be able to. We'll see what happens in this game. I think this should be a very competitive game going both ways. Darnold's been playing his ass off. Daniels being back should help. But the run defense is tough for the Seahawks, and Bill has not been playing up to standard of what we expected. So starts for this game, Jaden Daniels, obviously, Deebo Samuel, always. Zach Ertz. With McLaurin out, Ertz becomes much more valuable. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's on a tear, playing that solid role for Sam Darnold to be his true number 1. Sam Darnold, I'm willing to start him because the Commanders haven't been dominant in the past defensive game. They've been good. Got an interception. Was it 2 interceptions last week? I forget. But just not something I'm terrified of. And the way JSN plays, he's still going to be able to get him the ball. And then Jason Myers, the kicker for the Seahawks. Like I said, I'm always starting him if I got him. Flex players. Cooper Kupp got a little banged up this week in practice. Not even 100% sure he's playing. He's questionable coming in, I believe. Torrey Horton Jr., the rookie, he could definitely be a flex guy you want to get in your lineup if Kupp is out. A.J. Barner, tight end there. Another guy that, especially if Kupp is out, he's going to be more involved. He's been pretty involved. He had a down week last week, but somebody you can flex in as a backup tight end right now and still hope to get a touchdown or 3 or 4 catches out of him. Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet. I can't trust either one of these guys right now as far as starters. I'll put them both in a flex spot if I have them and need some points. But Commanders' rush defense is decent. They're not, top tier, but they're definitely tough. And if Deron Payne is back again, you got to worry about them slowing down that run game. And with them splitting carries, Charbonnet being the goal line back, Walker getting robbed of touchdowns all the time. It's just Charbonnet's not doing enough. Walker's not getting the touchdowns to go with the stats. So it's kind of hard to say, you have to start either one of them, but if you need them, put them in there. Ken Walker, to me, is still the better player, and that's who I would start if I had both of them. Seattle's defense, I think you can go ahead and flex them. Daniels had a couple turnovers last week. You never know how many sacks they can get if that offensive line. Tunsil got banged up last week. Not sure if he's playing yet. If he's missing, then Seattle's defense becomes even more flexible. And then Washington defense, they're tough. Hopefully Payne is back, but they're a tough defense, and Seahawks aren't like powerhouses by any means. So you get a turnover, some return yardage, you'll be fine. Matt Gay, the kicker, you can use him if you need him. And then Luke McCaffrey, I think you can flex him this week with McLaurin out. He's been more and more involved as the season gone on. He still does punt returns. So if you get return yardage, that just helps that situation. But McCaffrey, I think he's going to be a decent player this week. Sits for this game, Terry McLaurin, obviously he's out. Jalen Lane, not after those 2 blunders last week. JCM, Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt. I'm out, man, right now. You gotta stack a couple games together because after playing 2 terrible damn run defenses and you doing nothing against them, how can I trust you? How can I recommend you starting? That's the gist of it. I put him on the bench until further notice is how I feel about it. Cooper Kupp, like I said, he got banged up, not even 100% sure he's playing. And Elijah Arroyo, the rookie there, is backup tight end. Not willing to play him yet. He has a player or two every week, but not enough to do anything and not getting any touchdowns or anything like that often enough. So, sneaky start for this game, Jeremy McNichols. He's the pass down back. If this game gets competitive or Washington gets down, he's going to be the guy in the game. He's their third down back. He's their 2-minute back. He's getting enough run. And with PPR leagues, if you're in a PPR league, McNichols could be that bye week filler you need, that injury filler you need. You had Ramondre, go pick up McNichols and put him in there. He'll probably get you 8 to 10 points. And if he gets a touchdown, he's getting 15. So Monday Night Football game, last game of the week. Cardinals versus the Cowboys. Like I talked about, Kyler Murray could be active, but he is not starting. Jacoby Brissett is. I honestly think Brissett might be getting named the starter quietly. I think that Murray's injuries, attitude, and piss poor play this season are possible reasons, especially the way the offense has looked with Brissett the last couple weeks. Murray may be a soft benching to say, we're starting Brissett this week, even though you might be healthy enough to play. We'll see what happens, but I'm just telling you how I get the feeling of what's going on there. But like I said, Cardinals 2-5, Cowboys 3-4-1. They tied with the Packers. What was it, week 3, week 4? I forget what it was. Starts for this game, Dak Prescott, the way he's been playing. I know he had a down week last week, but against this Cardinals defense, not that worried about it. CeeDee Lamb, obviously, yes. Javonte Williams, absolutely. George Pickens, I almost put him as a flex just because when CeeDee's there, he's not as involved. He doesn't get as many targets. But against this Cardinals defense, I just feel like they're going to be – I feel like Dallas is going to win this game. Unless Brissett does something awesome. I think the Cowboys get the win here. Brandon Aubrey, you're starting him every week. I might start him during the bye just because he's that damn good. On the other side, Trey McBride, Bam Knight, with Michael Carter getting cut and then re-signed to the practice squad. He'll probably get promoted to active, but it's clear that they want Bam Knight to have the ball. And against that Dallas defense, I am not worried one bit. Go ahead and start Bam Knight. Connor Allen, I forget what this kicker's first name is, but you can start him. I can tell you that much. He's been doing damn good this year, every opportunity he's get. Rough start, but other than that, man, he's been a good, solid kicker. You wish he'd get some more opportunities. With Brissett, like I said, the offense playing a little bit better. He's going to get those more opportunities, especially against the Dallas defense that can't really slow down much of anything. Flex players, Jacoby Brissett against that Dallas defense. It's the same thing, man. Marvin Harrison Jr., you're in the flex spot right now. I know you got concussed a couple weeks ago, but you came back, played last week, only had a couple catches again. So he's had 4 catches over the last 2 games. That's not enough, man. It's just not. That's all there is to it. You were a top 5 pick, I believe it was. I'm just so confused. I thought that game where he caught that touchdown and it felt like the world was lifted off his shoulder. The weight of the world was lifted off his shoulders, man, was going to be, that was it. That was going to set him free. Next game, got a concussion after a couple catches. Came back last week, just not enough production, man. I don't know what's going on with Arizona and Marvin Harrison Jr. I know part of it is the routes they ask him to run instead of letting him run some underneath short crossers. I believe that would help him, changing some of his route tree and letting him play a different role. But it is what it is, man. And right now, you can throw him in there, but I'm not saying you have to. On the other side, Jake Ferguson got goose egged on tight end day, man. I don't even know. Number 1 tight end gets a goose egg on tight end day. That's a tough break for him. But with Lamb back, Pickens playing the way he's been playing, Ferguson just kind of got worked out of rotation, so I can't say you have to start him. I would still start Ferguson. I still think Ferguson, honestly, is probably a full-time starter, but I have to be weary of what happened last week with both of the receivers back and Ferguson getting no catches. That's a little scary to me. So I was, like I said, I still put him in my starting lineup, but I'm definitely paying attention now based off what happened last week. Sits for this game, Michael Carter, no thank you. Michael Wilson, no thank you. Arizona's defense against that Cowboys offense, I don't think you want to start them. On the other side, Jaden Blue, not involved enough. I mean, he's getting more involved, but just not getting enough of those catches, not getting enough production. He'll probably end up stealing a touchdown at some point from Javonte. I hope it's not this week. I need Javonte to score for me. But all the same, not willing to start him yet. Jalen Tolbert, no thanks. Dallas defense, no thanks. Sneaky start for this game, Zay Jones, man. I think against this Dallas defense, Zay Jones could get deep on a couple passes and might have a big day if possible. If Brissett can get it to him, I think Zay Jones could get deep, get behind these safeties, get behind. No Trayvon Diggs. Remember, he's on IR with a concussion. Zay Jones could definitely be the guy that instead of Marvin Harrison Jr., it's Zay Jones that gets loose. So Pay attention to it. See what happens. If you want to throw a dart out there and see if it sticks to a bullseye, man, Zay Jones might be that dart. Other than that, guys, we're going to get out of here. I hope everyone's having a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you watch. Until next time, I'm out. First down, Punts!